Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer by acknowledging that completely universal desire to clone yourself to avoid doing chores. We've all been there, right? Usually around 11 at night on a Sunday, you're staring at this massive mountain of laundry and wishing you could just pop out a duplicate, like Naruto or Jamie Madrox. It's constantly pitched to us as the absolute ultimate productivity hack. But today, we're going to see what actually happens when we put this beloved superpower through a ruthless scientific gauntlet. Because, spoiler alert, real-world science absolutely does not agree with comic book magic. Level 1, the physics of cloning, and the E equals mc squared problem. So the crucial point we really have to tackle first is literally the absolute most basic law of the universe, the law of conservation of mass and energy. Basically, energy cannot be created or destroyed, and mass definitely cannot just appear out of nowhere. Because of this law, if you snap your fingers and instantly create a 70-kilogram biological body out of thin air, you have to source that matter from somewhere. And to create matter from pure energy, we look to Albert Einstein's famous equation, E equals mc squared. Because the speed of light squared is such a ridiculously massive multiplier, converting energy into a fully grown human body requires an absolutely unfathomable amount of power. Doing the math on this, creating that single 70-kilogram clone requires an unprocessable 6.3 quintillion joules of energy. That number is so large, your brain literally cannot process it. To put that into perspective, 6.3 quintillion joules is the equivalent of 1,500 megatons of TNT. Your simple duplication attempt wouldn't give you a helper to fold your laundry. It would release the power of 30 Tsar Bombas, vaporizing your entire city in an instant. Or let's say your power works in reverse, maybe draining that energy from the surrounding air to condense the matter. Well, you would instantly drop the temperature of a 50-mile radius to absolute zero, freezing everything into brittle glass. Moving on to level 2, the biological nightmare, focusing on shrinking clones and the calorie trap. Okay, let's bypass the nuclear physics for a second. Say you use accelerated cellular mitosis instead. Your body just pinches and divides like a giant amoeba. But again, because of the conservation of mass, splitting your 180-pound body just creates two squeaky 90-pound humans. Split again, they're 45 pounds. You're eventually left with an army of dust mite-sized clones fighting your house cat. To grow a full-sized clone organically without shrinking, you must intake the raw materials. Because biological assembly isn't perfectly efficient, constructing 180 pounds of functional human tissue would require you to consume a horrific 500,000-calorie grocery bill right before splitting. And if you try to split without eating those 1,000 cheeseburgers, your body is going to rip nutrients directly out of your own organs. Your bones will literally be leached for calcium, causing massive organ failure as a half-formed duplicate just collapses beside you. And hey, even if you did eat the food, forced hyperreplication destroys your DNA, specifically your telomeres. Those are the protective caps on your chromosomes. Just like Dolly the sheep, the first cloned mammal who suffered premature aging, your clone doesn't start with fresh cells. If you duplicate at age 25, the clone starts with 25-year-old telomeres. By the 5th generation of cloning, you trigger a telomeric degradation cascade, quickly turning your cool clone army into a geriatric ward of systemic cellular collapse in under 3 minutes. Level 3. Mind-shattering neurology and reabsorption divergence. Let's say we somehow have a magic cosmic battery fixing the physical body. Now we have to look at the absolute most complex structure in the known universe, your brain, and its 86 billion neurons. Here is where quantum physics ruins your perfect duplicate. Because of the no-cloning theorem, you cannot recreate a mind with 100% precision down to the quantum level. It's just impossible. Your clone will inevitably suffer from missing synapses and misfired neurotransmitters. The result? A duplicate that might lack your moral compass, lack your empathy, or even strongly amplify your darkest, most repressed thoughts. And what about that really famous comic book trope where you reabsorb your clones to magically learn everything they read or experienced? Well, if you try to reabsorb a clone's distinct sensory memories, you are essentially plugging a high-voltage power line into a fragile microchip. Your left parietal lobe tells you that you are at the grocery store, while your right one insists you are lying in bed. This instant neurological mismatch triggers grand mal seizures, melting your conscious mind into a chaotic soup of fractured identity and leaving you with permanent amnesia. No new skills for you, unfortunately. Level 4, heat and immunity crises, or as I like to call it, the biological ovens. Assuming you've survived the atomic explosions and the brain-melting seizures, we must now face the devastating environmental vulnerabilities of having genetic copies running around. When an entire population shares the exact same immune system, it's called a monoculture trap. Because every single clone has your exact 100% identical immune system, there is zero population variance. A single mutated cold virus, or a specialized bacteria that happens to bypass your specific defenses, will effortlessly bypass all of them. What takes weeks to spread through a normal, diverse population could literally sweep through and kill your entire 1,000-person clone army in a matter of hours. Furthermore, human biology is just incredibly inefficient. When your body turns energy into work, like synthesizing trillions of cells for a duplicate, 80% of that energy is wasted as pure thermal heat. Spiking your metabolic rate by 10 million% to synthesize a clone generates a truly massive wave of metabolic waste heat. Attempt to split over a matter of seconds, your core body temperature skyrockets past 200 degrees Fahrenheit. This is hotter than boiling water. Your proteins begin to denature, your blood coagulates, and you literally cook both you and your clone from the inside out, way before the split even has a chance to finish. Section 5. Game Theory and Betrayal, or exactly why your clones will hate you. Stepping away from hard physical sciences for a moment, let's look at the terrifying human psychology of self-replication. We all expect an exact copy of ourselves to be this obedient drone, eagerly rushing off to do our chores. But really, why would they? You're stepping right into a Nash equilibrium trap. Your clone wakes up with your exact ego, your exact memories, and your exact survival instinct. They fully believe that they are the real one. They remember going to sleep in your bed last night just as clearly as you do. Just like the character Twice from My Hero Academia, creating duplicates actually creates your absolute worst rivals. They know all your secrets, all your fears, and all your passwords. If you tell them to go sit in 2 hours of traffic to do your job, they are going to outright refuse. This inevitably leads to bloody brawls over who gets to sleep on the bed, who has to take the couch, and who gets the car keys. You haven't made a servant, you've literally made a mortal enemy with equal claim to your life. Finally, Section 6, the evolutionary verdict, and our societal realities. Let's explore how society itself would completely collapse if your clones walked out the front door, assuming you both somehow agreed not to destroy each other first. Without birth certificates, your clones exist completely outside the legal framework, plunging you into a set of distinct nightmares. First, in tax law, double incomes forcefully push the original you into unpayable higher tax brackets. Second, looking at criminal justice, joint liability and identical DMA mean that if your clone robs a bank, security cameras and forensics will perfectly match you, potentially leading to a life sentence for a crime you didn't even commit. And third, on a macro scale, clone labor would instantly crash global economics. If a company can hire one person to do 100 jobs for a single wage, labor value drops to zero, triggering massive unemployment and global hyperinflation. Ultimately, what you should take away from this explainer is that 3.8 billion years of evolutionary wisdom finally tuned you to be a single-instance organism. Every biological system, from the stability of your matter to your immune system, guarantees your survival and your psychological sanity by making absolutely sure there's only one you. Having one body isn't a limitation. It is the ultimate design feature. So the next time you're staring at a mountain of homework, don't wish for a clone. Let me know in the comments which superpower we should scientifically ruin next. Unless, of course, I'm actually just a clone of the original host writing this script from some secret underground lab. Until next time, keep learning and keep asking questions.
Please like and subscribe.